And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. This is what we do, who we are.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
Isn't that how it always goes? Technical difficulties at the very last second. Text messages from the family. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Rambo and Friends. Sorry about that little glitch there I had starting out. But welcome. I think you guys are in for quite a treat today. I know I'm super excited about it. This dude that's coming on here today this is my opinion. This is what I'll give for his intro, because I don't think anybody could quite do it justice. The dude's a legend. What I've seen is a fearless man who not only stands up for what he believes in and speaks the truth, but he's also stuck up for many of us in the movement fearlessly just as well. And I look up to that trait tremendously. That's the absolute truth. This dude has stood by what he believes, and he stood by the people that he believes in this movement from the day that I entered. That is what I've seen. And with that, I want to welcome Brian Cates. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Hi, Joe. Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, dude, this is going to be awesome. I mean, you're look, I don't know if you realize, but a lot of people, I'm not the only one. A lot of people look up to what you do, and they look forward to the next thing that you put out, because it's like next level type information, and your discernment is just about second to none, buddy. So,
well, it comes from experience. A lot of it was not pleasant, but it's experience. Yes.
Well, what did you think yesterday? Did you watch the eclipse?
I didn't have to go outside and watch it, no, but I did follow on social media a lot of people, because I'm down here in Florida, and we didn't really have to get that much of a good view of it in the Lakeland area. But I know up around Buffalo and Pennsylvania, where you're at, I mean, people got the whole total eclipse, and I did follow it. I don't think it lived up to the hype. A lot of people were kind of built it up into a biblical type thing. They expected some fireworks or whatever. But yeah, I did follow it on social media.
Well, do you know what we were looking for yesterday? Do you have any idea what we have a lot of mutual friends. Do you have any idea what Smart Paul, and I got one fly in this damn room, but Smart Paul and JF Non and Beard the Parade and myself were looking for yesterday?
Well, some people were expecting major events to unfold, and my take on that was always that if something major really does go down, you'd be depending on the fake news media to show you what happened. And if it was something that the fake news media doesn't like, if it's something that they don't want people to know about, they're not exactly going to advertise it. Okay, it'll probably be coming out later if anything happened.
Well, today's the day after, and I'll tell you, I don't know if you've read it, but you should go back and read it if you haven't had a chance. But the Sapioplex Substack was brilliant. I think the work that they did and the research they did is more than credible, and their work is brilliant. Of course, in this movement, you can't date fag, because none of us are within the Q team or whatever's happening. So it doesn't always happen the way you plan, but we were looking for aliens. Now, check this out. So the story is with this, Bri, that it's the shadow of an airplane. I think that that's very possible. But take a look at this quick.
What is that?
do you think? Do you think the shadow of an airplane is a possibility?
Well, we have to keep in mind the fact that there's a lot of military craft and equipment out there that they're not ready to publicly unveil yet. I used to follow Thomas Wicker when he was on, well, he's back on Twitter now. But back before he got banned following the 2020 election theft, he was he showed some video evidence of drones and other type of craft that were moving far faster in ways that kind of defy the common understanding of physics. You know, things that are moving so fast that people would look at that and say, "Well, there's nothing capable of traveling that fast." Yes, there's nothing that they're publicly admitting that they have that's capable of moving that fast. That's true. What I keep in mind when I see a video like that is there are things that they keep under wraps and they do not want to publicly admit that they have it yet, because there's all sorts of hidden conflicts and wars and things going on all across the world, and they want to keep a tight lid on their actual capabilities. They want people to understand what they're capable of. If that's used that vehicle in flight, that's what I believe it was. They don't want people to know about their capabilities yet. Because if you admit that you have something like that, they will start trying to figure out a way to defeat it or copy it. And so this is why the lid is kept on a lot of this. I remember back in the 80s, the late 80s, all the National Enquirer stories about the bat-shaped UFOs that everybody was, these big black bat-shaped UFOs that people were saying. Of course, that was the stealth bomber that they didn't want to admit that they had yet. They didn't want to admit they had the stealth bombers. They had a legitimate reason for keeping a lid on that. Did not want our adversaries to know that we had that capability. So now we understand that we're probably in World War III right now, and there's probably all kinds of conflicts going on that they do not publicly advertise them the way that they used to. And so that's another reason that whoever's side that thing was on, that we see flying in the clouds there, they're not going to publicly come out and tell you whose it is and what they're using it for. We're just going to have to guess.
I think you're absolutely right when it comes to that analysis. Look, sometimes it's not that they're hiding it from us, the people, but they're hiding it for legitimate reasons, like national security. Exactly what you're talking about. If we're at World War and they have technology that they don't want everybody to know about, why the hell would they post it on CNN, Fox, and MSDNC? They wouldn't, right? So they're.
Remember one of the first things Donald Trump said, one of the first things he said, and he changed when he came in as president in January 2017, because Obama wasn't serious about anything, and most of what people were saying wasn't real. And we know that Obama and Clinton and the CIA and the Mossad, they all got together, they created ISIS. Okay. And they were making use of ISIS. ISIS had a purpose that they were utilizing it for to achieve their goals. Okay. And to help achieve their agenda, they were advertising everything they were doing with our military. You were able to go to a website. I remember when the fake news complained that Trump had the military stop doing this. You could go to a website and see exactly how many troops, where they were stationed, when they were moved around. I mean, I remember the fake news complaining about this. Who does Trump think he is? He's not going to let us know where our troops are going or where they're stationed and how many there are in each of these bases. What's up with that? Why is this guy not posting that information publicly anymore? And Trump came right out and explained, we're not going to let our enemies know what we're doing. We're not going to show them our capabilities. we're not going to tell them, yeah, we have X number of troops at this base at Bagram, and then we have this is the forces we have here. We have this many choppers, this many tanks. Okay. Yeah, they were doing that under Obama. They were putting all that crap online for the whole world to see. And that was one of the first things Trump put an end to when he came out. He said, we're not going to advertise what we're doing, where we're at, and what our capabilities are. We're not going to hand that information to people out there that wish us ill.
I was going to show where Trump said that, but for some reason I'm not loading up. Give me a second here, Brian.
Okay.
Let's see why not.
Well, I can keep going.
Keep going.
There's things out there that are going out there in space. So I think Elon has some things going on with SpaceX. He's trying to set up a system where people can share information with each other directly, device to device. And they don't need to go through any of these landlocked the landlocked system where the NSA and the CSA and the CIA, they're all sucking up copies of all the data, your phone records, your emails, your texts. The NSA and the U.S. government, and it's not just us, there's other countries out there. They're sucking up as much electronic comms data as they can, and they're storing it. They're always coming up with clever ways to filter it and try to find certain messages and texts and emails and things like that. And we have an undeclared war going on right now. Only some of it is on the surface about censorship and governments trying to control what people can see and hear and what they can learn about what's going on out there in the world. And on the other side, you have Elon Musk and others who are setting up a system where I'll be able to take something off my phone, send it to somebody using a Starlink, and they also have a phone that the information goes direct to their device. It doesn't go through some landlocked data center, like AT&T or whoever, and the NSA's there to get a copy of it. And so we live in interesting times. There's all kinds of capabilities that are out there. They're only letting us see some of it because there's a lot of things going on right now behind the scenes. They cannot really come out and publicly talk about it. But if you're sharp and you're paying attention, and you see plenty of signs out there that things are not what they appear to be.
That is without question. Let's see. I'm going to try this one more time. If not, I'm going to move on. We'll see if it works. Nope, it's not working for some reason. And this dumb flies in my face. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's check this out instead. So there's one more. Are you a Gateway pundit guy, Brian?
Yeah, I check Gateway out a couple times a week. Yes.
Did you happen to see this Spanish TV station that played their rendition of the eclipse yesterday? All right, wait for it. Check this out.
9 de la mañana completamente a oscuras estaría Mazatlán,
sí.
Durango, Gómez Palacio, Lerdo, Nazas también en el municipio de Durango, Torreón, Monclova, Musquis, donde está tu familia, Piedras Negras y Acuña, esto en el estado de Coahuila. Serían los municipios donde más se podría apreciar.
I don't even want to know what that was.
Brian, that played on a real news station yesterday in I don't know where. It was a Hispanic news station, and they actually played that on the news station. Bro, I was dying.
Somebody got set up there.
That's like the one, you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the news station, some city in America, where they put up Joe Biden's face and they talked about a 71-year-old man that was out there touching kids, and it was Joe Biden's picture on the screen?
Accurate news there for once, Dan.
I didn't mean to surprise you with that, Brian, but it had me dying this morning. So let me take a minute real quick and thank the people that are supporting this show. And then I would like to get into your story a little bit, if you don't mind. So first and foremost, for everybody out there, we talked yesterday with Beer and John and Smart Paul about the whole Cash App thing. So that's what you're going to see with the banner running across the bottom and the QR code in the top right. So in there, I wrote to support this show and fighting against the mainstream media. I am the cash symbol, Rambo and Friends on Cash App. Nothing is required to be part of this family. I love you all. I love this movement. I love this country. Now let's go save the world. Let's go. So that's what I wrote in there, and I legitimately stand by it. I put up the Cash App because I was asked by people that only watch the show on the replay that aren't able to support during the live show. So that's what it's for. Please don't get offended by it, but that's why I'm doing it. And I'm also obviously going to thank Lil Mike, not Big Mike, because we know that's Obama's husband, but Lil Mike of My Pillow jumped right on board and is supporting the show. So I hope that everybody goes and supports him. I think that he had a key role in everything that we've seen play out. I think that he probably has a key role in how we see the end of this rollout. So if you support Mike Lindell, you can also support the show by using promo code Rambo. I'm sorry. And then obviously the one that I absolutely adore right now is covfefe.coffee. If you give me just a minute, I will post my personal link for this show in the chats over on Twitter, YouTube, and Rumble. The next chance I get that Brian's analyzing something and I can get a minute to do that, I will do that. And at the end of the show today, as I finally got to send off the bag of Rambo roast to someone, at the end of the show today, me and Brian were talking. I'm going to send out a bag of Kate's Keto. So one of you guys at the end of the show today, if you hang out for the whole thing, Brian will be picking somebody out of the chat, and we're going to send a 12-ounce bag of Kate's Keto out to you guys. So I think it's a good promotion. Obviously going to use the link for the show so it supports the show, and I'm going to send a bag of Brian's Kate's Keto out so it supports him as well for being here.
It's a great idea, Joe. I encourage you to do that, because did you know drinking coffee is actually good for you? You know, all this news they put out there, they try to tell you all the things that you shouldn't be doing. Experts say you need to stay out of the sun. You know, the sun will kill you. You need to stop eating all that red meat. Stop eating all that bacon and butter. You need to eat all this fake meat, this fake butter, eat all this fake shit. The fake stuff is better than the real stuff. You know, fake food is better than real food. And after encouraging people to do all this, and one of the things I saw recently, they're trying to convince people coffee is bad for you. You should not be drinking coffee. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's about trying to suck all the fun out of life. Oh, that's another thing. Stay out of the sun. The sun will kill you. You know. And I'm watching all this. It's amazing to watch people try to take everything that makes life fun, eating meat, being out in the sun, playing out in the sun, drinking coffee. There's somebody over there wagging their finger. Now that's bad for you. Stop doing that. Yeah, I think part of the Great Awakening is everybody realizing that a lot of these folks are full of crap.
Yes. Yeah, you think? Trust the science, Brian. Trust the science. How come science changes all the damn time?
One of my favorite memes is the one of Anthony Fauci. He was standing there with that smug look on his face. Yeah. Follow the science to my bank account. That's exactly what it is. Man, when I found out that all these assholes at the NIH and the NIAID and the CDC, they're all getting royalty payments from vaccines. That can't be right. The first time I learned this, I said that can't be right. These are the people that are supposed to oversee and watch these drug companies. You mean to tell me they're getting paid by the drug companies for shepherding the drugs through the approval process? No, that can't be happening. The conflict of interest is too glaring. Okay, but that's exactly what's been happening. It turned out that's exactly what's happening. And so that's why Fauci did the remdesivir thing, you know, because he gets paid for that. He gets paid to shepherd these drugs. God only knows how many people they killed in the hospital, pumping them full of that toxic crap.
I know that's right. Did you see? Oh, look what I found. Who would have known? I should have just went right to my gallery on my phone, and it would have been there. I went looking for it all types of different ways. Let's do a throwback quick, since I was trying to do it. I believe this is it. We're about to find out. I got a pretty good eye, though, for this stuff. Here we go. So this is what you were talking about earlier, Bri. Hold on. Boom.
Productive it is for the United States to announce in advance the dates we intend to begin or end military options. We will not talk about numbers of troops or our plans for further military activities. Conditions on the ground, not arbitrary timetables, will guide our strategy from now on. America's enemies must never know our plans or believe they can wait us out. I will not say when we are going to attack, but attack we will.
And yes, that's exactly what he was doing. It drove the fake news insane because they were so used to getting that kind of access and that information under Obama. You know, and I've done a couple of threads recently. I've been talking about the fact that it kind of shocks people when I first say it, but you know, our ISIS was created by us. ISIS was created by the CIA and was created by the Mossad, and they were used to because Al Qaeda had been degraded to the point that it was no longer providing sufficient reason to keep all of our military or expand our military presence in the Middle East. They needed a new threat. And so that's one reason why when Benghazi happened, the Benghazi response to that attack, that's why it unfolded in the weird and extremely strange fashion that it did, because they could not have any real attention brought to what they were doing in Benghazi. What they were doing was they were arming, equipping, and training and preparing ISIS to be unleashed on Syria and Iraq. And we remember that from 2010 or so, they went out there and they seized a ton of territory and they held it. And I talk about the fact that it was obvious to me as a thinking person, most people have not developed their minds. They're watching the news reports and say ISIS has now taken over another 100 square miles of Syria, you know. And okay, how are they doing that? And they show you an ISIS caravan made up of Toyota, white painted Toyota trucks and cars traveling on a highway. You know, it's basically this is how ISIS is moving around. They have convoys of cars and trucks that are traveling up and down these highways, and then they're going to these different towns, and they're seizing these towns, and they're killing most of the men, you know, and they're doing all these mass public executions. And it's just very curious because if you understand the fact that every country in that region has a fully functioning Air Force, the first question that's going to occur to you, and they keep showing you, and this went on for years, they keep showing you ISIS is expanding and seizing more territory with these slow-moving convoys going up and down the roads. These black-clad guys wearing masks, you know, waving their ISIS flags in the back of these trucks. And it's like
Brian,
they're unstoppable because they have a secret weapon.
Brian, Gaza was invaded by guys with fans and paragliders.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're onto something there. Okay. Yeah. So I've been calling this secret weapon that they had. I just had a secret weapon. People, and only the smart people watching this were able to figure out what that secret weapon was. The mystery magical air shield that covered every ISIS convoy as it moved all over Syria and Iraq. The magical mystery air shield about why they could not be bombed back to the Stone Age from the air. Then we got I mean, it went almost for 5 years. It started in about 2009, actually 2010. So from 2010 all the way to 2016, or into 2017, we got the helpless shrugging act from Obama. It's like, I'm trying, folks. I'm trying really hard, These ISIS guys are tough. We just cannot get a handle on this. Okay. And we watch ISIS seize more and more territory and carry out more and more execution. And it was just very confusing. I remember when the Yazidis were trapped on that mountaintop. Remember, there's just tribal people. They were surrounded. The ISIS had the bottom of the mountain, and we for like 3 weeks, the whole world was watching that. Oh my God, these poor people are trapped on the mountaintop. Is someone going to come rescue them? And Obama's like, well, I'm trying, folks. I'm trying so hard. Okay, and then the unexpected thing happens. Hillary Clinton wins the election. Hillary Clinton loses the election to Donald Trump. The deep state's hand-picked queen of the deep state, queen of the State Department, and her long-awaited coronation was supposed to happen. Because remember, she was running against Obama in 2008. That's when, and she had to wait 8 years. She had to wait Obama out. Finally, her long-awaited coronation was arriving. And somehow that prick, that outsider, that bullish asshole, Donald Trump, somehow beat her for the presidency. And so instead of making the handoff to Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump gets in there. And the first thing he demonstrates to the world is that nobody was really trying to destroy ISIS while Obama was president. Because the first freaking thing that Trump did was he did an arms deal with Saudi Arabia. And then that magical mystery air shield that somehow protected ISIS for all those years that they were never able to be bombed for the air. All of a sudden, the convoys couldn't even leave their garages without getting blown to smithereens. And I loved watching that footage. We went from watching those assholes riding around in the back of their trucks, waving their flags. All of a sudden, we got to see the burned out husks of those convoys. When they sent the A-10 warhogs or whatever they were, they sent in the aircraft to blow them up, which was not happening under Obama. And people don't remember this, but like the first 3 or 4 weeks of the ISIS campaign, the campaign to destroy ISIS, when Trump launched it for real in March of 2017. The first 3 weeks of that, after it was just attacks from the air, we pinned those suckers down. They quickly realized they could not move up and down the roads anymore. They lost their air cover. That's the thing. They had air cover. Yeah, because most people can't think; they just believe what the news presents to them. People had this idea ISIS was invincible. No, ISIS was not invincible. ISIS was protected. ISIS was protected, and so the reason Trump had such an easy time destroying ISIS is that the first thing he did was remove the protection. All of a sudden, ISIS could be bombed from the air. They couldn't move around anymore. So like the first 3 weeks were just bombing campaigns from the air, destroying all their convoys, most of their vehicles. And so the last 3 months of that campaign, from like April to the end of July, that was rooting them out of their strongholds, where they had to go in door to door. That's what took a long time. But the first part of that, just bombing those pricks from the air, that once Trump got that going, the end was inevitable. And a lot of people today still don't grasp that. But why it was so easy for Trump to take ISIS out, because Obama and the deep state had created ISIS and they were protecting it. They were protecting ISIS. And Trump,
go ahead.
Trump was not interested in protecting ISIS.
So I have 10 questions, but I'm going to narrow it down to 2 with that rant that you just gave. So Let me ask the first one. We all watched that Afghanistan pullout, and I believe personally that it parallels exactly what you were just talking about. We watched a plane that was suspicious to say the least. We watched people falling off of that plane, which in my opinion looked like intentional messaging. Do you believe that Afghanistan pullout had anything to do with what you're talking about, Trump destroying ISIS?
I believe Trump made deals, and
I agree.
see, when you're presented with a completely incoherent narrative, okay, I'm not saying incompetence doesn't happen, but nobody is so incompetent that our military is going to be ordered out before other civilians are evacuated. Nobody is that incompetent. Okay. And they're not going to pull out in a way they're going to leave billions of dollars of fully functioning military equipment. It's like, oh shit, we have to leave all these weapons behind. I have to leave these jeeps and these tanks and these armored cars and we don't have time, to disable them. Oops, we have to leave now, guys. Oh, but what about all these rifles and hey, that's too bad. We have our orders, and so when you're given a narrative that is completely incoherent, you should be able to come to the conclusion based on common sense you are being told a cover story for something. So whatever actually happened, they're not admitting to you what that is. They're giving you a story. And it's, and most people, because this happened right after the 2020 election, a lot of people are back then they were very trusting of their authorities. Oh, they wouldn't lie about this. This is serious. This is the Afghanistan part. They wouldn't lie about this. And right now, people are waking up and realizing, shit, they'll lie to you about anything, okay? They'll lie to you about food. They'll lie to you about, how World War II actually ended. They'll lie to you about COVID, the origins of it. They'll lie to you about the vaccines and the deaths and the injuries. There is nothing they won't lie to you about. Now,
well, I think that's the point.
Something happened with that Trump did a deal, and part of that involved leaving that stuff there for the Taliban. But Trump didn't take any heat for that. I just had a program launch automatically that I can't. Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Okay, mine keeps doing it too. Well, wait, Bri, while you're dealing with that, I want to say that I think that that Afghanistan pullout is a really good example that you can almost use to parallel any hot topic talking point that we've been, that's been pushed upon us. Almost everything. If you look at the border that way, or you look at the pipelines that way, if you look at the bombing of the pipeline in the Nord Stream, right? If you look at almost even the spy balloons, right? We can go through almost every single hot topic talking point. And if you look at it from those lenses, I believe that you start to see from an outside perspective what fifth generation warfare is, because that story was so ridiculous to guys like me and you and probably everybody in the chat here today. We realized that there was something not right about that and we weren't being told the truth. However, when I went to work, the other 30 guys at work were talking about it in a way that they were upset at the administration in charge because they bought it hook, line, and sinker. So it's almost like I start to believe that this fifth generation warfare narrative push is to affect the masses, not necessarily those of us that are paying attention and aren't buying it. Whereas it's nice to operate on this level. I feel like we do understand more of what's going on, but it wasn't for us. It was for the guys that aren't paying attention, but found out that we did this horrific pullout. Well, the same thing's going on with all these other issues. Let me, before you respond to that, I want to back up because he talked about Hillary Clinton losing after waiting 8 years for Barack Obama. And I think that if you look at it through the lens of what I just brought up, I think that we can start to see with some clarity what might have happened. Do you think that Donald Trump actually surprised them and won? Or do you think it's more feasible to believe that there may have been a chance that some of those, at least some of the swing states, were protected so that the vote was honest? What's your opinion on that?
My view, Joe, is that these people have been fixing and rigging elections for a long time, and they were shocked because something, we can speculate about how it went down, but I truly think they thought they had successfully rigged that 2016 election, and they were shocked when, by some arcane act of socialist warlockery, or however it was accomplished, Donald Trump ends up winning, and it must have been done in a way that they were forced to concede. Remember, because Hillary came out that very night. She came out and conceded, and if she thought she had any chance of holding Trump off or reversing the results, I don't think she would have done that. So I think something happened. These people have been rigging elections for a long time. They're just getting more open about it, and they're trying to digitize everything. But I don't think we've had a real honest and election in this country that wasn't marred by fraud since JFK got shot. And
this just happens to be, this was not my plan, just so you're aware, but this happens to be the exactly perfect time to play this, because I think it proves what we're talking about. Something did happen. They've been rigging elections for a very long time, just as you said. You can't outvote algorithms. You might not be able to cover your trail with paper, but what would you do if you got caught? Say Donald Trump or whoever it is that he's working with were to catch you trying to steal an election. Would that not be the starting point of the Donald Trump potential sting operation that we're watching in front of us? Now, with that being said, I want you to watch this clip. You can diagnose every single line in it, and I think it proves what we're saying. So check this out, bro. I want to hear what you have to say. This is an old clip. Most people have seen it, but watch it through the lens that we just talked about, right?
When I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at
that already, in my opinion, starts to plant the seed that I'm talking about. So if there was no transition, and he emphasizes, I won that election, I think he started catching them then, if not even before. Let's keep going.
I'm sure if they caught them rigging the election for Hillary, and they defeated that rigging, and it was the defeat of the attempt to rig it was done in such a way that they were not able to contest it. They were not able to argue against it. They would have exposed themselves right then and there if they tried to fight it. So yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. He's saying I won that election, but we had about the transition, because as we all know now, looking back, the General Flynn movie just came out, really goes into this.
I want to ask you about that. After
can't think it was a transition like there was supposed to be if the Obama administration is spying on Trump and trying to sabotage him and laying traps for him. They're leaving traps behind for him for when he comes into office. And that's not really a transition, is it?
Absolutely not. And you know what's really cool? I want to ask you about the Flynn movie because you got to see it, and I'm super jealous after this. But Flynn's mentioned.
Oh, you got to see it, Joe. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Flynn is mentioned in this clip, and I truly believe Donald Trump encapsulates not only telling us that 2016 was stolen, but he also lets out in this clip that he knows 2020 is going to be stolen, and he points us in the direction of paying attention and watching, because that's what it's about. It's about the country seeing that this is what they were doing, which they protected in 2016. Watch this now that we've had that discussion. Let's keep going.
Crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our first lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape.
It doesn't get much more clear than that. He literally just told you. Now listen to the rest of it now with that lens. It blows my mind, bro, that we were legitimately told what was going to happen. And it was like we couldn't hear it because we were stuck in this 5th generation warfare. Let me finish playing out the rest because I want to hear what you have to say about it.
We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that because we caught you in a sense. And President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen.
How does he know that? How can he so confidently tell you this is going to be a fraud like you've never seen? Look, think about this, Bri, before you answer me. Diddy, Epstein, all of these things where I was watching your videos earlier, they're exposing all of these things. We have been watching a sting operation, in my opinion, since way before we realized. When we thought they were going to expose, they were stinging and legal processes were taking place behind the scenes. That's my opinion. Go ahead.
Okay, Joe, you're not wrong. Something happened in the 2016 election that the bad guys can't explain. It terrified them. And I think one of the reasons they really wanted to spy on Trump and his incoming team as much as they could and get surveillance of all of them is they're trying to figure out what was going on, how they were doing it. And if you look back to the first impeachment of Trump, the thing that triggered that first impeachment was Trump calling Zelensky up on the phone and asking not just where the missing $3 billion was that was sent to Privet Bank, co-owned by Ihor Kolomoisky. He also asked about the DNC server, about the fact that he's told that one of their rich people had it. They know that Trump knows things. They know that Trump is aware of some things, and they're constantly terrified that he's about to hit the go button and roll something out that they will have no way of containing. And I'm convinced due to my own research, they were terrified that Trump was about to open the Ukraine-Israel door. He was about to open that door up. And they do not want that door open. They do not want anybody to go there. They do not want anybody looking into that. And people are making the connections anyway because it's being made so obvious. What country controls the U.S. Congress? Which country has the largest, most powerful lobby of the U.S. Congress? It's Israel, or the people behind Israel. And so why does our Congress keep insisting on sending billions and billions and billions more of our tax dollars to Israel? Well, because they don't want billions and billions of our dollars sent to Ukraine. Well, because that's what Israel wants. Israel wants that. The Israel lobby wants that. And so that's why it's been continuing to happen and why it will continue to happen, because the people who actually control our Congress behind the scenes. That's what they want. They want more of that money going to Ukraine. See, they have to do the money laundering somewhere. They got shut down in Afghanistan. They got shut down in Iraq. They've been shut down. A lot of the other places they were doing their money laundering. It's not fair, of course. I don't look at it as being fair. This is awful. This is terrible. This is horrible. We can't do our money laundering. How many trillions of dollars did they launder through Afghanistan and Iraq in the 20 some odd years we were there? It was okay. Then this is something that people have to wake up to. If you think most of that $2 trillion that was sent to Iraq and Afghanistan over the last 20 years or so, if you think that money stayed in Iraq or Afghanistan, you're being very naive. Okay. One of the first things you learn about foreign aid, nobody's ever able to track foreign aid, where it goes, where it actually ends up. And I've discovered through my research of the billions of dollars about that's what he explained this. Back up a little bit. The CIA has launched over 70 coups. That's just the ones we know about. 70 coups since the end of World War II. We take out a legitimate government. We replace it with a puppet government that will do what it's told. And one of the key things that you need a puppet government for is that when you send that puppet government billions of dollars in foreign aid, okay, yes, the puppet you installed and his cronies are going to take their cut of that foreign aid, but then they're going to take the rest of it and they're going to send it where it's supposed to go. And that's exactly what happens. And I've been talking about this for a while. Billions of dollars of foreign aid, I put quotation marks around that, foreign aid, the billions of dollars of foreign aid sent to Africa, and guess what? Most of it doesn't stay in Africa. And the billions of dollars in foreign aid sent to Central and South America, most of it doesn't stay in Central and South America. It goes somewhere, okay? It doesn't stay there. So the puppets are taking their cut and they're passing the rest to where it's supposed to go. And I believe that people are going to find out that the one thing that's not that door that's never supposed to be open, one thing that's never supposed to be revealed, is going to end up being revealed. And that is that most of the foreign aid, and it's not just us, it's not just us here in America, it's the United Kingdom, it's Canada, it's Germany, France, Spain, Italy, a lot of their money that they're sending overseas, supposedly for good causes, it's ending up in the same place. It's being laundered. Okay. These people have literally been stealing the wealth of almost 24 nations for decades. They've been doing it. They were definitely afraid that Trump, the outsider, was about to open that door and reveal that. That's why they had to impeach him the way they did that first time. That rough Star Chamber impeachment that Schiff was running in the House basement, where they didn't allow any cameras in, they didn't allow any public record of what went on in there. And they impeached Trump over the perfect phone call. And so they do not want people looking at this. And so Trump knows things, and they're desperate to figure out what Trump knows, and more importantly, when might he be dropping what he knows. And it constantly keeps them in a state of panic. I constantly keep them in a state of fear. He dropped hints all the time. Oh, I have it all. Oh, I know everything you guys did. I have all the evidence. I'll be dropping it when I'm ready. You know, and they're constantly trying to second guess him and trying to figure out what he's going to do. I'll give you one more example real quick. Remember back in December of 2022, he said he said for about 3 weeks before the date in mid-December of 2022, I'm going to be making a big announcement from Mar-a-Lago. A big announcement. This is following the raid in August of that year. If you'll recall, the FBI raided his home. And So he said, I have this big announcement. Okay, right before he was supposed to make that big announcement, the CIA chief goes to Ukraine. And a missile gets fired into Poland. The CIA and the Ukrainians and the fake news media all say with one smothering voice, "Oh my God, Russia just attacked a NATO country. Oh, this is terrible. This is horrible." Now, some of you don't remember that this happened, okay, because they literally tried a new false flag here. See, they've been doing false flags for a long time, and they used to be able to successfully launch false flags. That's that MH70 jetliner that got shot down over Ukraine about 6 years ago, and everybody blamed the Russians for that. The Russians shot that down. They've been doing false flags for a long time. So a missile gets fired into Poland, and they try for about 24 hours. They desperately try to sell this narrative that the Russians just attacked Poland, a NATO country. And nobody bought it. Nobody bought it. And so it was kind of comical watching this unfold, because they came out and said, took less than a full day. Oh, yeah, okay, folks, never mind. Yeah, it turns out, it was the Ukrainian missile. Yeah, Ukraine accidentally fired that missile into Poland. So relax, folks. No World War III. Sorry about that. A little bit of miscommunication there. They were so scared of what Trump might announce. And what he ended up announcing in December 2022 at Mar-a-Lago, hey, I'm running for president. I'm running for re-election. But I think they were so terrified that he was going to announce something else. They sent the CIA chief to Poland, to Ukraine, and all of a sudden the missile got shot into Poland. And they tried to make a big deal of it to steal the thunder from whatever Trump was about to announce. So I think if you have to look at this, they're incredibly nervous about this guy. He keeps saying things that keep them on edge. He trolls them relentlessly about what he knows. And so the one thing that they're waiting to find out is, when is he going to drop it? And I believe that keeps them up at night. They worry about him constantly, and they should be worried.
So I think that I think there's multiple examples of what you're talking about with the money, but my examples always have to do with being able to point out that it's public disclosure rather than current events. I don't know why this fly is bugging me today. FTX, I think, is a perfect example. The drops.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the other one I was talking about. In the drops, they showed that video. I can't show it on this show. I'll get kicked off of YouTube. But that video of all of the Red Cross bins full of money in that room. And there was a video, literally, you remember when they lifted the lids and it was just full of cash?
They've been using the Red Cross for money laundering and arms. I mean, think of not just money, arms, human trafficking. They've been using them. The
Clinton Foundation.
The people that we trust the most, man. I mean, it's kind of, what the Q drop says. This is why it's going to be really tough for a lot of people, to see.
Do you think I'm wrong when I look at the FTX thing? Look, here's the coincidences. FTX.
No, look. Most people need to realize when you dig into something like FTX, or how Twitter was founded, or how Facebook was founded, okay, they have a common narrative that they will sell you. Look at this young man. Wow, he just invented this powerhouse multi-billion-dollar company out of thin air. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. Some people refer to him Mark Zuckerberg. Okay. Wow, look at this Harvard kid just invented that. No, he didn't invent shit. Okay. If you know the story about how, LifeLog and DARPA, then you know where Facebook came from. You know how it was developed. And Zuckerberg is just the front man. He's a lightning rod. They put him out front. Don't look at me. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, that's somebody's picture on it. Yeah. Well, they hold something in front of their face. You know, I'm the CIA. I don't want you looking at me. Here, look at this guy. Look at this guy instead. Okay, the young genius. He takes all the flack. I'll do my work quietly behind the thing. You know how many times they pulled this one off using different, boy genius frontline. They did it with Twitter and Jack Dorsey. They did it with Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. They did it with Google with Brandon, that other guy. And they did it with FTX, with Sam Bankman-Fried. They convinced everybody that this slob of a kid, and his buddies set up this multi-billion-dollar company. They set it up in just in a year or two for handling $25 billion worth of capital. Okay, bullshit.
But I think I can prove, Brian. I think in a very few simple coincidences, I can prove that Sam Bankman-Fried was a sting operation and a disclosure operation. Because first of all, he looks exactly like Bernie Madoff. I mean, exactly. And his name, Bernie Madoff with the money. Sam Bankman was fried. He was also freed there for a minute. They used his money to back channel money back from Ukraine to not only Democrats, but also some Republicans, the White House. They were literally money laundering our cash with a guy that looks exactly like Bernie Madoff. And his name is Sam Bankman-Fried. I am of the thought process that the guys in charge do a whole lot of wordplay on purpose. I think it happens all the time. I think they're showing us to our faces. It's kind of like Lady Gaga dressed up like the Hunger Games for the inauguration of Joe Biden. I think that was intentional messaging, right? I think that the same thing happened with Sam Bankman-Fried, whatever we want to call him.
I think there's something to that, yeah.
They're literally telling us,
waking people up to the fact that there's massive amounts of money laundering going on here, and they could have set this kid up, and then, the good guys could have set him up for business and suckered all the bad guys into coming and funneling all that money through there. And they're still trying to figure out where a lot of it went. They don't know where the Alameda Corporation thing where they were buying what's that tether coin. I read a long revolver.com expose on that, just mind blowing. So I think, I think you have a point there. They could be doing that, using Sam Bankman-Fried as the way to throw a spotlight on how they've been laundering billions of dollars for the last decade or so.
Well, military intelligence. Look, if anybody believes that our military is the TV generals that we see talking about woke, whatever, yes, I believe that they're pushing some of that on our military. I believe that that's happening because it gets everyone talking. But if you believe that our military is not compartmentalized, and when we talk about military intelligence, being ghost in the machine, right? We were given that video for what reason? We were told here just recently about the General Patton's ghost army being recognized. For what reason? I don't believe any of this is coincidence. I believe they're telling us to our faces exactly what's happening. I do.
So what people need to realize is this is a truly international, massive criminal cartel that's been running the world for a long time. And when if you decide, first you recognize that the threat is there and that they're in control of all of these governments around the world. And you decide, okay, we're going to fight these guys for control of the world. Okay. And 98% of the world doesn't even know these people are there, or they're in control, or what they're doing. How do you even start? Because if you came out, like I use this example. Now, Trump obviously is known for a long time at the inauguration in 2017. He turns around and says, "Look at these people right there. Look at them. They're human traffickers. They're drug traffickers. They're arms smugglers. They're part of a massive criminal cartel that runs the world. They run Canada, France, Spain, Italy, Germany. They run New Zealand and Australia." And they're in charge of all this, and this is what they're doing, okay? And they're getting ready to do all this crap to the world, trying to lock everybody down and reduce the world's population. And he just lets everybody have it all at once. Okay, back in January 2017. How many people were actually ready to hear that? And having heard it, ready or not, how many of them would have believed it? Now, I got to tell you, I don't think a lot of people would have believed it. I think they would have decided that Trump was a raving lunatic if he had done that. And so that's why I agree with the Q drops that say this had to be managed carefully. If you do this wrong, if you mess this up, if you make a move that can't be taken back, it blows the lid off the whole thing, and most of the public still isn't ready to embrace the true reality of the situation the world is in. You have destroyed everything. And they will actually fight you. The people that you're trying to save will actually fight you to protect the system that has them enslaved. And so you have got to be careful how you manage this.
The world is literally a stage, Jules. You've had a bunch of great comments. Keep it up. Well, I'm going to take this moment real quick to ask everybody that's watching. If you're watching over on Twitter, please share it out. If you're watching on Twitter, please also know that we're on 2 other platforms, YouTube and Rumble right now. I'm still working on Pill.net. I'm hoping to maybe get to it tomorrow. But if you could hit that positive affirmation on whatever platform you're on, share it out, hit the thumbs up on the other 2 platforms. That means the absolute most to me. Brian, we got distracted, but that clip, Trump wasn't done disclosing. So I want to finish that one out if you're okay with it. I believe he says something else here at the end that we'll find pertinent to the conversation we were just having.
They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are
Hold on. Do you hear what he just said there? People skim right past that one. He said on November 3rd, you will see who won the election. He's telling you this before it happens. Understand, this is a presidential debate leading up to that election. So for him to tell you on January 3rd, you will know who won the election and then goes into what they're going to do afterwards, how did he know exactly what was going to happen, Brian? Go ahead.
It's a mind-boggling thing when you first tell people this, that Trump's entire presidency is an exposure operation. And the chief thing that they because when the best way to say this, when I started examining our elections, how they're actually run and how corrupt they are after that 2020 election theft, I was forced to go back and look at 2016 and go, well, how the hell did this guy win then? How the hell did he pull that off? Because these people have, oh gosh, we didn't rig it enough. Sorry, here you go, Donald Trump. I guess we'll just hand it to you. No way they would have willingly done that.
Well, Brian,
I was forced to go back and say, I don't understand. How could this guy have won? Then, having won, he's showing you, I believe you're correct, Joe, he's showing you in this debate, in this video, he's showing you, he knows he's going to lose the 2020 election. He knows he's going to lose it. He knows that they're going to steal it. Okay, so I think there's all kinds of things in play here, that it's a movie by that point, it's a show. And it's to wake the public up, because if you dig into the American election system the way that I have, and you understand how deep the corruption runs, and how long these people have been doing this, and the vested interest they have in making sure that no real outsiders get in there. You literally cannot explain how Trump won in 2016. I know that I talked about this in one of my recent videos. They give the explanation. Oh, she lost because of the DNC emails. Yeah, like all those blue wall, the people in the blue wall states who don't even pay attention to any of this political shit news. That heard about the DNC emails and said, "Oh wow, that's pretty bad. I guess I'll switch my vote from Hillary to Donald Trump." And that's bullshit. That did not happen. Okay, so something happened, and a lot of people still can't explain it. There's really no way this guy could have won in 2016, and then he announces many times the massive fraud that's coming, how desperate they are to get him out of there. And then we're watching now as he's getting ready to come back. The incredible lengths they appear to be going to try to stop him, and yet they keep failing over and over again. All their lawfare is not working, and the more they try to stop him, the more they indict him, the more they drag him into court, the more they hit him with these massive, insane fines and bonds. The more popular he gets and the stronger he gets. It's just like one of the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Well, Brian, so when I start to realize that this was already a stage in 2016, when you then go back and look at Donald Trump's public 4 years in office, it makes a whole lot more sense. His capitulation tour, the stack of evidence that they say he walked into all of those offices with, dinner at the Forbidden City, the sword dance in Saudi Arabia, going to see Putin and getting, the ball's now in your court. All of these major things where Donald Trump went around, he already caught them. This wasn't just like, we have evidence about child trafficking and you're going to capitulate and we're going to take your gold type of stuff. He legitimately, this operation was already going on before. So this is my question, Bri. If this was already in place to sting them in 2016, the military doesn't act without a president giving the order. So who gave that order? Do you see my conundrum?
Yeah.
So who told?
Okay. Let me go into this very briefly. I mentioned Thomas Richter earlier, and one of the biggest reveals I think Thomas Richter ever did on Twitter back in the day was back in 2018, 2019. He was talking about Operation Jade Helm, and the way a lot of people were explaining that with a cover story. He had Alex Jones on InfoWars saying, "Oh, this is Obama getting ready to lock down the entire Southwest and put it under martial law, and it's going to go in and seize all the guns." And that's why these black helicopters and all these military training exercises are going on across the American Southwest. Actually, what was happening was, I think Whitney made a good case for this. What was happening was Gulf Cooperation commandos were being brought in from overseas, and they were being trained on modern, up-to-date, state-of-the-art weapons platforms, and they were training on how to use them against fortified positions, including underground bunkers. And the only place you find underground mines that is still for this type of military training purpose is in the American Southwest. And so I think Richter was right. I think he put his finger on something there. They were using these to train commandos. So one of the questions that came up after Trump's surprise won the 2016 election and was sworn in 2017, and his first official trip overseas was to Saudi Arabia, and he did the sword dance and the glowing globe ceremony for the opening of the Combating Extremism Center. And then he does that massive arms deal with Saudi Arabia. He's going to arm the GCC commando. how long would it take the commandos to get up to speed on these new weapon platforms that they were supposedly unfamiliar with and had never trained on? You know, because all we've been selling the people in the Middle East was our cast-off junk, you know. All the weapons dealing and stuff that went on, you simply did not give the people in that region the state of the art, up to date stuff. You only gave them the cast off junk. You sold it to them at a premium price. Okay, so now that's why the entire foreign policy establishment was screaming for Trump to stop, to not do this, because he was actually selling the state of the art, up to date weapons platforms. But I guess what, gosh, it'll be years before these guys are up to speed on how to use it, right? Well, no, they all went in there and they wiped out ISIS in a matter of months. And so I think Victor understood that back in 2015, whatever the year's Operation Jade Helm was going on, you already had these commandos who were going to be the tip of the spear and getting the Islamic extremism out of their region. They were already training on these weapons platforms here in the United States, but they could not come out and tell people that at the time. So the cover story being provided by Alex Jones and these other people online actually served a positive purpose. It kept people from looking too closely at what was going on. You know, Obama's getting ready to lock down the American Southwest. So I admit Trump wasn't president yet. He did not get sworn in until January 2017. So who gave the order to train GCC commandos on up-to-date weapons platforms in the United States as they got ready to go into the Middle East, kick out all the Islamic, I keep doing this, Islamic extremists, okay, kick them all out of the region, guarantee their own security, and so the American boys can go home. So we can get out of Iraq, we can get out of Afghanistan. Okay, who gave that order? That's a very interesting question. I saw somebody asking in the comments, Hussein? No, I don't think it was Hussein.
Brian. Well, hold on though, because I'm not going to say it was Hussein, because we watched his first 4 years and they were as treasonous as they come, right? So it's tough. It's tough for anybody to try to make that connection where he might be a good guy. I've been through this with John and Smart Paul. However, I will say that some major things happen in his second 4 years that make it look like he's part of the plan. As I know you said in your video just the other day, that whether there's a plan or not doesn't matter, but I believe there was, and I don't think this could possibly be going down the way it is without it. So you're right, it doesn't matter, but I believe it's going on. So Barack Obama did a whole bunch of things that made this possible. One of which I use all the time, but just because it's me and you for the first time, Barack Obama sat there on camera and told everyone that if I could have a third term, I would sit in my basement with an earpiece and I would tell the guy who's in charge what to do. Well, in my opinion, that's about as intentional a message as you can put across to the American people. You have now you've planted that seed in everyone's brain.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think whatever he was doing or what back in 2017 or whatever, Obama's been brought to heel long ago.
Yes.
I'm a good boy. Same with Hillary. All these others, the John Kerry. Okay, they've reached an understanding. Okay, I think that they were brought to heel a long time. Maybe it even happened before the inauguration.
Right.
Of Trump in 2017.
Hindsight's 2020, right? The more you look back at this, the more I realize that OMG, this has been going on, and we have been led around by our noses. Somebody talked about earlier that they believe the White Hats. That was Q the Storm 412. Talk about my opinion. Go ahead.
When you look into the fact that the Kennedy Memorial is in the shape of the Q.
Thank you. Right.
And Kennedy was buried in what year?
What year was he born in? I'm not sure.
When they designed the memorial and they put it in place, It was 1964. That was the year I was born.
Well, you know what? I want to finish this first. What was it? What year was it?
Well, I know he was shot in November 22nd of 1963, but they didn't actually bury him and put that memorial around him. And he who was buried, they had their funeral, but they did not make that memorial the way that it appears now. I believe that was a year later. That was 1964. So there were people out there that knew what had just happened. They knew that our president had just been killed. A coup had just happened. A coup. And they were, I think that's when a lot of stuff went down. And they realized that's when they began. Now, okay, 1970. Okay, 1970. So it wasn't right away then. But you had people that knew what had just happened. That a president had just been assassinated by his own government, parts of his own government. And they were determined to fight back. And so I believe that there's been a hidden war going on in this country under the surface for a long time now. And as far as which president gave the order, I don't, if you work your way backwards, obviously, you don't see Obama being the one that gave the order for any of this. We don't see either of the Bushes or Bill Clinton. Okay, and I don't see Gerald Ford or Jimmy Carter being the guy that gave that order. For sure, I do not see Lyndon Johnson giving the order.
Brian, watch this. Watch this.
Reagan is interesting. There are some, and a lot of people don't like Reagan. Get to say Reagan was
What was Reagan's motto, Brian?
President that would give an order like that.
What was Reagan's motto?
I would say that we've ever had since JFK, where that would be even a remote possibility.
Do you know what Reagan used as his campaign slogan, Brian? Did you hear that? Did you hear my question?
America.
What's that?
It's morning in America.
Hold on a second. I'm going to show you something. Oh, man, I can't wait to show you this. Oh, hold on. That's the wrong one. I'm going to take this off. You got me all excited. I want to show you something quick. So give me a minute. This will be worth it.
Okay, take your time. I'm self-employed, that's the great thing about being me. I'm on my own clock.
All right, here's one of them. Now, let me see here. Let me pull this over here so I can show you guys. This is Ronald Reagan. Let me start this at the beginning here. Turn the volume up and share. So check this out.
Where they live. For those who've abandoned hope, we'll restore hope and we'll welcome them into a great national crusade to make America great again.
Okay. Let's make America great again. I had never seen that, actually. If I did, I'd long forgotten it.
Ronald Reagan for president. Let's make America great again.
The price of even a small home could be $200,000. And what about their parents trying to make ends meet right now? To stop inflation, we've got to put a ceiling on federal spending. We've got to crack down on waste, and we must lower our tax rates to encourage individual productivity. In California, where I was governor for 8 years, we went from near bankruptcy to financial help. We gave the taxpayers billions of dollars in tax relief, and we met the needs of our people. If we're going to stop inflation, we must do it now, not with bigger government. It takes better government. That's what we owe ourselves and our children. That's why I'm running for president.
Only one man has the proven experience we need. Ronald Reagan for president. Let's make America great again.
Now, I'm wondering, because I consider myself a good conservative, and I read all the magazines and I watched the TV shows, and I watched William F. Buckley, on Firing Line back in the 80s and 90s. And so when people discussed Reagan and what his campaign slogan was. I just remember the one that was repeated endlessly. It's morning in America. Maybe that was the re-election in '84. I don't know, but yeah, I literally did not remember that he said many. He must have said many times. I think in the 1980 election when he was running against Carter, that he was saying, "Let's make America great again." Wow.
Yeah, that kind of blew my mind when I saw it the first time. I know Trump was a fan of Reagan's. That's not a secret. But yeah, the first time I saw that, I was kind of blown away. So can I finish? There was like 30 seconds left of this. I'd like to finish if you don't mind.
And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened in Virginia and other places. They're not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud, and it's a shame. And can you imagine where they say you have to have your ballot in by November 10th? November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have major states with that,
sir.
all run by Democrats.
2 minutes is 2 minutes.
Hold
So,
on.
yeah, he's been pointing out that they've been doing this for a long time now. We don't have an election day anymore. We have an election week or an election month where nobody knows the results on election day because the ballots are going to be coming in. So coming in and being counted and accepted for days and days and days after election day. And that's exactly what happened. They stopped the counting on the night of November 3rd. They stopped the counting, then they started doing 3 a.m. ballot dumps. It took them 3 days until that Friday, I believe it was. They come up with the 43,000 ballots across the 5 battleground states, and they were able to say, yes, Biden's the winner in the Electoral College. And so, yeah, Trump seemed to know what was up back then during that debate.
Ah, shoot. Hold on.
Hey, you still there, Joe? Is California still counting? Good question.
There we go. Sorry about that. I glitched out.
You've lost sound.
You can't hear me?
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay.
Sheesh.
Now somebody just asked in the comments if California is still counting their ballots.
That's pretty funny. So
It could be.
I'm bringing this up. This is what I was trying to bring up when the feds just kicked me off there for a minute. I apologize. But Wirebender 413 put it together when what you were talking about with JFK in 1970, 1 + 9 + 7 + 0 is 17. Well, Brian, have you ever seen this clip? So I think that there is a rational reason. I think this is something they do in France, but there's no rational reason for the way the camera pointed it out. So this is 1961. It also adds up to 17. Watch this.
What?
Your face, bro. Look at that.
There's a Q on
the car. It's the emblem on the car. Hold on, I'll play the rest because it goes from that to a double cross. It's a Christian symbol. I'm trying to figure out still what it is. A couple people have given me suggestions, but check this out. Now, I have the full clips. I pulled that section of it, but that's JFK going to France to visit with their parliament, whatever the heck they call it, I forget. And why did the camera show JFK entering and then the Q on the car in 1969?
I think that seemed that it would be a mistake to think that the Q operation, whatever that is, that started with Kennedy's death. It could be, that there's people that figured out a long time ago that something was not right with our government, that things were controlled. There were people that were behind the scenes pulling the strings, and that our government, our semblance of being a republic was an illusion. And there were patriots that were determined to try to rectify that and correct it. And Kennedy was working with these people. Maybe that was a sign of it, that they have a Q sitting there. I know that after he was murdered, they went ahead and they made his memorial on the shape of the Q. And they did the same thing with Princess Diana.
Yes, they did. And then, see, a lot of people will take when people talk about Donald Trump saying Joe's shot, it's not him. He welcome to the world, Joe. Joe doesn't know he's alive. When people talk about those things, as I end up doing a lot, because once you see all of this with a different lens and you start to realize that something's been going on for a long, long time, all of a sudden that becomes like more than feasible. Can I give you an example?
No, I played around with this idea of body doubles, and then it could be very reasonable. When you look at the pictures of the old Joe Biden from just 6-7 years ago, and then the guy that they tried out now, and you can see there was some, and then some people say, oh, he's just older now, he had plastic surgery. And I don't know if any type of plastic surgery gives somebody a wider neck or a bigger forehead.
Right. And then don't even look, you can't stop at one point. Donald Trump told you we're sort of having my second term right now. We just don't want the results. That's a huge thing to say that everybody just ignores. The Young Republicans Club introduced him as 45th, 46th, and 47th president of the United States. Sure, they don't mean anything, but Donald Trump didn't correct them, and they said it 3 times. His hat says 45-47. That's not a mistake. They printed it or had it sewn into every hat that has that emblem on it across the country. It's not 45-47. It's not 45, the N symbol 47. There's no slash. It's a dash. What that means is he's president from 45 to 47. So I don't understand how people aren't seeing it.
Yeah, I know that some people have continuity of government theories. They have devolution theories. One of the first things I learned when I dug into the devolution series done by John Harold. I'm looking forward to, by the way, going to the Great American Restoration Tour in South Lake later this month. I'll be bringing my brother with me. We're going there together in South Lake in Dallas, beginning on the 18th. John did a lot of incredible work on that devolution series, and one of the first things you learn when you look at that, the devolution contingency, is that if devolution is in play, we don't have a president right now. We don't have, and there's nobody as president. What you would have is somebody who's been enlisted to play a certain role and within a military framework. They're not technically commander in chief. They're not technically the president. It'd be somebody like somebody who'd be trying to remember the right word. John would do a lot better explaining this than me. Somebody that is tasked or they're brought in and giving temporary military status. Okay, that would be And that would probably be something that Trump is doing if the devolution thing is in play. But I agree, Trump does seem to drop a lot of strong hints that we're kind of in his second term now. He does come right out and say that. I said that several times, actually. And so I think there's something to that. And plus, I know that John Harold and others keep showing video clips of what looks like somebody following Trump around that appears to have the nuclear football. And so maybe in a military operation being run by the military, because technically there is no president right now. Trump is the guy that's been enlisted to play that role behind the scenes. But we're just speculating right now.
So what I'm doing while you're talking, because this is what I do. You guys talk and you bring up things because my specialty is I have what I like to think is probably the largest collection of Trump clips ever. Right? So it's like legitimately what I do. I have files and files and files. Donald Trump has said that we're going to have to win a third time multiple times, right? You can skim over that one. But he said it to other world leaders that I'm going to have 3 terms repeatedly.
And if you think about it, when he was robbed of that first term, I mean, American people elected him, and they tried to rig it. Somehow the rigging was defeated. They tried to rig it for Hillary. The rigging was defeated. Trump got that first term, but as we now know, I'm going to be doing a column on this starting today, but I'm going up tomorrow. Trump never really had effective full control of the executive branch in that first time. They pretty much let him know right through his face, hey, buddy, you're not one of us. We're going to wait you out. We will thwart you. We will sabotage you and sandbag you. We're going to, we're not going to do what you say. We're going to oppose you until we can get you out of there. And they pretty much told him this from the start. And I remember back when he would say that they were spying on him, and Leslie Stahl and all those other journalists told him he was crazy, he was nuts for even saying that. And it turns out he was right. He never had effective control of the federal branch of many of those agencies. The CIA, the State Department, the FBI, the DOJ. He never had no effective control of it. And so we're in a transition period right now, supposedly, or a phase would be a better word to use. We're in a phase right now where it's setting Trump up for a second term. But this time, and he's been saying this for a while now, he says, when I come back in there and I start to do what needs to be done, okay, people will understand why I'm doing it and they will support it. And it's not much of a secret what he's talking about when he says what needs to be done. He's talking about absolutely destroying the CIA, taking down the FBI, burning the DOJ down to the ground, and then rebuilding it from scratch. The State Department, Department of Homeland Security, all of those agencies, they all have to undergo deep and serious revolutionary reform.
I would argue that that's what's happening as we speak. But when Trump comes back into office, it becomes revealed to us all.
It's just being kept quiet. We're in, and this is happening internationally also. There are vast sea changes going on overseas, but the Western press doesn't really talk about much of this. But you have the rise of BRICS, and the BRICS bloc used to have the NATO bloc, and now you have what you could call the BRICS bloc, and they're starting their own trade organizations, their own trade ability with each other. And, the Western corrupt Federal Reserve System has never had a serious challenger in over 100 years. Nobody's ever been able to seriously challenge it. And all of a sudden, it's like, wow, Brits came out of nowhere. Remember just 2 years ago when Putin invaded Ukraine and the West hit Russia with all kinds of sanctions, and they talked about how they were going to bring Putin to his knees. And all of a sudden, about a year and a half later, Russia's stronger than ever. And thanks to BRICS, and they're selling their oil, their level of oil sales and their gas sales. They're all back. They've surpassed what they were before the new sanctions were put in place 2 years ago. And so that is how the Federal Reserve System, that's how they've brought all these nations around the world that we've cooed, and we either coup them directly or we economically strangle them. We threaten to wipe them out. That's how the control has been kept around much of the world. All of a sudden, Russia is challenging that system, and they're challenging it successfully. And it's a huge message to the rest of the world. Now we have African nations that are saying, we don't want you here either. They don't want to submit to like in Niger and other places. They don't want to submit to the Federal Reserve System any longer. And so there's the international, global, and a paradigm shift is underway. And you see the effects of it going on, but the media doesn't really tell you why it's happening or what the full effects of it are going to be. But basically, we have an old corrupt system that is failing and is being phased out. We have a new system coming up, and Trump played, I think, a big role in helping to shape this paradigm shift that's now underway.
So I'm going to give you an example of what I was talking about. I pulled one up. Here's just one of very, very many examples of Donald Trump talking about a third term.
There's never been a movement like it. There has never been. Over the years, I've seen people, if they did fairly well in a primary 30 years ago, they become stars fairly well. We won the election twice. And it's possible we'll have to win it a third time. It's possible.
So that was just the first one I came across. I have many of them. But if you start to go back to what we talked about earlier, and it starts to make sense to you that Donald Trump couldn't have surprised them with an overwhelming amount of votes to win 2016, then those comments start to become a lot more interesting. Would you agree, Brad?
Yeah, I would. I mentioned this earlier. When you dig into how the election system's actually been run, how they digitize everything, then they make it so. Scott Adams has been going into this. He's turned into a huge red pill dispenser himself. Scott Adams says the way the system's set up right now, you have no idea who won an election. You have no way of knowing. You have no way of telling. They just come out and announce it. People are waking up to the fact that the system that we have here in America is unbelievably corrupt. It's been allowed to become corrupt, and it takes a radical and revolutionary strategy to expose this and fix it. And I know a lot of people want to know, well, why come they just come out and tell everybody? Just come out and tell everybody how bad it is. Well, the fact is, this had to be done slowly. If you tried to do this too soon, 8 years ago, you tried to come out and tell everybody how bad it really was. You sound like a lunatic. And so I think Trump he's been dropping hints. He's been showing things. Scavino drops a lot of hints, on his social media. I have some friends that think, oh, that's just them messing with everybody. They're just trolling everybody. They don't really mean anything by it. But I thought that there is something to this. There is something going on. And you don't take down a system like this. You do not challenge it unless you're serious about it, unless you're willing to go all the way. Because if you mess this up, you drop the ball. It's not just a couple million people that are going to end up dying or being enslaved. I mean, the whole world's going to be left in the dark forever. And so that's why it's important that this be done right. And I think it is being done right. And I expect a lot of things to come out over the next 7-8 months in the lead up to we're in April now. So we have like 7-8 months now to the election. I expect a lot of stuff to come out, and Trump will be talking. I think he'll start dropping some of these things that they've been terrified for the last couple of years that he's gonna reveal something. He may, for most of this, he may wait till he's safely back in the White House. I can see him continuing to drop stronger and stronger hints along the way, but about what has actually been going on.
Well, Brian, the reason I like pretty much buy into John and Smart Paul's theories is that I believe there does have to be some sort of unifying event. Do you see anything happening, like whether it be a terrorist attack or alien invasion or whatever it might be? Don't you think that there has to be something that with all of the theories we have politically, it seems to me there has to be something outside of that to unify the country.
What we'll see is the revelation of a massive crime against children. That's already been carried out.
Wait, repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Crime or someplace like that. People will come out and have to admit, yeah, this has been going on. They've been doing this for a long time. There have been organized baby factories in Ukraine for decades now, and nobody ever seems to ask what happens to all the babies that don't get adopted. Because human organs are very valuable. But there's an extensive black market for human blood and organs. And you look at the way they went after David Daleiden and the Center for Medical Progress when they exposed Planned Parenthood, the fact that Planned Parenthood was actually breaking the law and selling human organs for massive profits. You look at how ruthlessly they went after David Daleiden and those undercover journalists for exposing that. Okay, they were showing something. There was a massive international trade in human organs and blood. And especially the organs of young infants and children. And so I believe what's going to happen is something will come out. I know that Smart Paul and John, they think it's going to be along the lines of an alien invasion or another 9/11 type attack. And, it could be. I'm just speculating here. But I go back to that Q drop where Q talked about how crimes against children will unite humanity. I think because of the total control that the Shadow Cabal has over much of the international press, they've been successful at mostly hiding the international child human organ trade. They've been successful at hiding it. And I think they're just like ISIS had a magical mystery air shield around them that prevented them from being bombed from the air for more than 5 years. Okay. I think that there are things that are in place that keep the public blind to what's been going on, and that they're about. It's like when a magician has an illusion, and all of a sudden the curtain drops, and you see what was behind the curtain. I believe that curtain could be dropping soon, And whatever it is, it's revealed, whether it's aliens or, child sex and human organ trafficking. And will unite people, I believe. People will realize the old paradigm, the old way of looking at the world will not survive that. And it will be the dawn of a new age.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So, Bri, I was hoping maybe hang out for like 15 or 20 more minutes. That was really fun that we got right into it. But when you first came here, I typically like to get to know the guys that laid the groundwork before us. I would love to hear if you have any, if you just want to let everybody know kind of like how you got started. Maybe if you have one or two really cool stories that I think people would find interesting, because it's a great awakening process. I believe that more and more people join us every day, and guys like you that I look up to so much. I know no Anon's above another, no person's above another. However, we look up to the guys that laid the groundwork. So I'd love to hear anything sort like that. Like, when did you first choose to put your face out there as somebody that was going to be fighting in this war that we're absolutely facing right now?
Well, I started on social media very early. I was on the old AOL boards. I was always drawn towards politics and arguing, because I was a conservative back then, and I would argue about abortion and the Gulf Wars and stuff like that with the liberals. And I got to be very good at it. I spent a lot of time hanging out on the old Ann Coulter message board. Ann Coulter had a message board. I was a big Ann Coulter fan back then. Read all her books, read all her columns, and read National Review magazine and National Review online. I was a good little soldier in the neocon conservative incorporated machine, I guess you could say. And I did a lot of writing on my own blog. I loved writing about politics and sharing my viewpoints. And I started a blog about 2012, the year that Andrew Breitbart died. I was a huge Andrew Breitbart fan, and I read his book Righteous Indignation, and I followed his big Hollywood website back then. And he seemed to me to be exactly what the country needed. He was pointing people at the right things. And then he died, tragically on the sidewalk in Brentwood. And I decided that it was time for me to just, get out of the stands and into the game. So I launched a blog called the Draw and Strike blog. That was in 2012. And then by 2013, I've been noticed by some people at Breitbart.com, and I wrote for them as an unpaid contributor for about 9 months. Got some columns up there, got my name out there. And then I went back because Steve Bannon took it over, and there was some strong disagreements about the direction of the website. I stopped writing for them, went back to doing my own blog. And then in 2015, I point this out a lot. I was never Trump when Trump came down the golden escalator in 2015. I said, "Oh, this is a terrible idea. This guy has had how many failed businesses? He's an attention whore. He's an attention hog. He's just doing this to build his brand." And I listened to all these other people that were in the neocon conservative incorporated machine. And that's how I formed my opinion of Donald Trump. So all through the whole 2015, 2016 campaign, I was rooting for Ted Cruz. I was rooting for anybody to win that nomination except the guy that I thought could not win. Because I viewed handing that nomination to Trump the same as gift wrapping it with a bow and handing it to Hillary Clinton. I thought there was no way Trump could beat her. And that was me back in 2016. And then Trump wins the election, and then by that time I probably had about 200,000 followers on Twitter. And so I said, okay, look, you all know me, I'm never Trump, but look, he won. He shocked me, he won. And so he's going to be the president now. And so I'm going to support him as much as I can. When I think he's wrong, I'll say he's wrong. I'll support him when I can. I'll criticize him when I have to. So I went in there hoping for the best, but I'll be honest with you, after watching the inauguration, I expected his presidency to be an absolute disaster because I had the neocon view of Trump, impulsive, boyish, he's not stable, he's mercurial. What policy he decides on, it depends on which side of the bed he got out of that morning. He'll be changing his mind frequently, and that's the view I had of the man. So I actually had to watch him be president the month of February to about June. And then I saw some of the things that were going on, how the corrupt government was already working behind the scenes to try to take him out. And he hadn't even been there very long yet. The Flynn firing, James Comey being fired, leaking his memos to the New York Times, he was Professor Friend, coming to testify before Congress, demanding a special counsel, which he promptly got, and Robert Mueller. So my attention was seized by that. I just decided, okay, I'm on board the Trump train. The guy's making all the right moves. I like what I'm saying. And then almost instantly I realized, and they're already trying to get rid of him. They're already spying on him. They're already trying to get rid of him, man. This is incredible. And so as Spygate unfolded, it began to unfold in the early 2017. I started writing these long threads about it on Twitter, and I ended up meeting a lot of other people who are also researchers and good diggers and looking into things. Tracy Baines, Harold Rand, Technofog, Galactic Red Pill. I mean, there are a bunch of them, too many to name here. But we all started sharing our research with each other. We formed a Twitter DM room. So about 2017, all through 2017, 2018, I'm writing these long threads on Twitter. I'm interacting with Thomas Wichter and several others on there, and we're sharing insights that were a lot of people found them interesting. And so it was in 2018, I believe it was mid 2018, I did a long thread on the Steele dossier and how a lot of things Jeff Sessions was doing on the leak probes. There were 20 leak probes underway. He could not be very public about it because they had leak hunters that were out there running these leak cases, and they couldn't be public about it. And Epoch Times decided they liked that thread series, and so Joshua Phillip of the Epoch Times reached out and asked me if I'd be interested in doing a column for them, a guest column. I said, sure. And I found it paid $250. I was really excited about it. They published it. It was a big hit. And then they asked me to become a regular contributor. And so that's how I ended up being a columnist for the Epoch Times for about 2.5 to 3 years. I wrote for them from July 2018 all the way to about late 2022. And then my friend Tracy Baines, who's one of the best Spygate researchers ever, she's so good at Spygate research, and she's so knowledgeable that she actually appears in this Flynn movie. She has she's on screen for probably a total of about 2 minutes discussing her knowledge of how they went after Flynn. And a lot of these people were sharing our stuff to have valuable insights. And Tracy went out and started her own website called Uncover DC. I thought it was going to be a blog. She asked me to write columns on the website. And I thought it was going to be some small blog thing. It was a fully functioning news website. And so I wrote for them for about a year and a half. Also for X22 reports, somebody mentioned that thing. Yeah, I did write for X22, mostly just before and then after the stolen election in 2020. I was actually covering Mike Lindell's Cyber Symposium for X22 report when it went down. You know, the whole thing where they spent months talking about the PCAPs and how they were going to prove, you know, absolutely 9-0 that the election was stolen from Trump. And then nothing happened. And it turns out they couldn't bring those PCAPs out after all. So it's been a long and interesting ride, but that's pretty much how I got started. You know, just a guy doing long threads on Twitter. I've always been good at reading and assimilating information from various sources and then putting it together and telling us, explaining a story. And so I think that's how I got my start back in Spygate. And one reason I'm so encouraged by this Flynn film is that it's a good refresher, of course, on how bad this actually was. A lot of people either do not know what happened to General Flynn and his family, or they've forgotten it because, you know, a lot of people are slaves to the present news cycle. If something happened like 2 or 3 months ago, they don't even remember it. And a lot of these things were happening back in 2015, 2016. But the Flynn movie is awesome. I encourage everybody to go see that because you don't understand how General Flynn ended up in a position where he pleaded guilty to something he didn't do. If you don't know what his first lawyer, he had a team of lawyers that he had hired before he finally fired them and hired Sidney Powell. He had other lawyers who were really stabbing him in the back and hiding stuff from him and doing side deals with the prosecutor that they weren't telling the court about. So the best reason to go see that movie is to give you the full story of how bad the deep state is, how bad Flynn's lawyers were early on in this thing, how they ended up actually helping the prosecutors maneuver Flynn into a position where he pleaded guilty to something he didn't do in order to keep his son from being prosecuted and being sent to prison.
That's all. Sorry. You still going? You there, Bri?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me take a second real quick. Amax just gifted a $20 Rumble Rant. Tried to Cash App, but it's not available in my area, supposedly. That's interesting. I've never heard that. But thank you very, very much, Amax. Every day you come in here and support the show. I appreciate it. I want to say thank you to all the Red Castles. I see you, Sharon. And anybody else that supports this show on a monthly basis. It means the absolute world to me, especially that we're on episode 9. So that's really cool that the people came right in to support. The Cash App thing is up there. I hope that's not a problem for everybody. That is there mostly because somebody that only watches during the replays and isn't able to catch the show live asked me to do that. So you can read the banner there. It gives you the message that I wanted to give when it came to that. Bri, could I ask you one more question? What was your most favorite, before we get out of here, and I want you to promote all your stuff. I didn't even know you had a YouTube channel till today. But can I ask you, what was your favorite, most recent event, and who was the coolest person you met doing that? Like,
my favorite coolest event was the premiere of the Flynn movie in Venice, Florida, about 4 nights ago. I got to attend it in person. I got to meet General Flynn again and talk with him briefly, and I got to meet a lot of cool people. Defender of the Republic was there. Katie was there. I got to talk to Mike Flynn Jr. again. He's always has interesting things to say, a very interesting perspective. I got to see Ivan Raiklin again. I first met him February of last year at that at a election integrity hearing in the state capitol in Arizona, and I got to meet so many people. So I always end up saying that my favorite event was the last one I did.
Yeah.
The one I did like 4 days ago, and it was really great because General Flynn was there, and I know I don't want to harp on this, but the reason that film was so powerful, it shows you what the deep state can try to do to you if you oppose it, but it also shows you a story of hope and faith and how this particular family was dragged through the fire and how their faith and their love for each other got them through it. And they are now counterattacking the deep state and being very effective at it because they're currently on a 35-city tour, a live tour with this film. And if you go to flynnmovie.com, you can see all the different tour dates and the cities that they'll be appearing in. And if you can't make it through a showing, I think you can still buy a copy of the DVD online. But the main reason to go to a live tour is that you get to meet General Flynn and his family in person. His lovely wife is there, Michael Flynn Jr., and all these supporters are there. And they have a question and answer session. They have a meet and greet. You get to meet them in person. So that's why it was worth it for me to be there in person for the premiere.
Brian, was Mary there? His sister? Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, you asked me something.
Yes, I asked if Mary happened to be there, his sister. She's one of my heroes.
Oh, Mary. Yeah, Mary from Magazine was there.
Oh yeah, no. I'm talking about Mary though. Mary Flynn, his sister.
Oh, Mary Flynn. Yes, I thought. She was in the film, but I'm not sure if she was there. I know his wife was, and I think Joe Flynn was there also. His brother, one of his brothers.
The reason I asked you that is I always love to give props. So many people stepped up when I needed help, but Mary was one of the ones that stuck with me. I just couldn't believe that she stepped up to help the way that she did, and she tried to do it almost anonymous. So maybe I shouldn't be putting her out there like that, but she's one of my heroes. Lots of people that helped me in that time of need.
Yeah, Mary Flynn is an amazing person.
Yeah,
she
she's
has
awesome.
A lot of the bad people in the Catholic Church absolutely terrified of her.
Look, there's if I get to meet them, I'm probably going to hug them in tears. JF Anon is one, and we know LT is one of them, and Mary is one of them. I kind of owe the whole movement a hug in tears, but those three for some reason stuck with me.
Let me look up real quick. I think they are going to be in Pennsylvania, sir. I know you're in Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna drop the tour dates in the
chat. Yeah, please do.
In the comments.
If they're even
have a showing, let's see, they're in Savannah, Georgia last night. They're in Greer, South Carolina tonight. Tennessee, yes, and Blakely, Pennsylvania.
What is it, Berkeley?
On May 9th.
May 9th. I'm gonna have to look into that.
So I don't know if that's anywhere near you.
Brian,
Blakely, Pennsylvania on May 9th.
Can you send me that link? Because I'll look it up. If it's close enough and I have the day off, I will go. All right, I see it.
They're not picking the major cities, because there'd be too many people, and the logistics would be a lot harder. They seem to be going for mid-sized towns with this 35-city tour that they're doing, and it's going to take them all the rest of April and most of May to get it done.
I'm gonna
be definitely worth it to go to a live tour showing, and you get to meet General Flynn himself, and then the question and answer. They did one in Winter Haven. I saw the video of it. It was very fascinating. A lot of people asked good questions, And it's General Flynn and his son Michael Flynn Jr. Boone Cutler is there. He kind of playing MC. And Boone Cutler has a lot of good insights to share with people.
It's 3 hours away. I think I could pull that off. I think I may have to pull that off. That's up above. It's up north, but it's not too bad. 3 hours isn't too bad. I would take that drive. I'm gonna look into that. I appreciate it, bro. Well, I'll tell you what, before we get out of here, would you do me a favor? First and foremost, it has been an absolute honor, Brian. I love hanging out with you. I certainly want to meet I didn't even realize that Dwayne was your twin brother. I can't wait to hang out with him too. I see him on Twitter and stuff all the time. So if you see your brother, please let him know that I see him out there. He's awesome. I think he's really cool. Can you tell everybody where they can find you, all your social media platforms, wherever you're writing at? I know you now have a YouTube channel. I didn't realize stuff like that.
Oh, sure. Let me drop some links into the chat. The best place to find me and my stuff is at the Rise of the Media newsletter, and that's this right here. I publish all my columns there. And you can find me on my social media account. The one I'm on the most is my John Strike account on the X app. It still feels weird saying that. I still want to call it Twitter, but I'm gonna humor Elon Musk. It's supposed to call it X, the everything app now. And I'm on Truth Social at this account right here.
I'm copying your links and putting them all over on Twitter as well.
And then I also have a Telegram channel. A Telegram channel that is right here. And so those are the three main places I hang out on social media. That and my Substack. That's pretty much all I do.
Well, that's awesome. Bri, like I said, it has been an absolute honor to be able to hang out with you. It's no exaggeration when I say that so many people in this movement look up to everything that you've done. I personally am super grateful for the way that you've stood up for not only what you believe to be right, but also the people that you believe in. You may not realize this, but we talk about our friends in good ways. And I've talked about you in a good way with many, many, many people. And the one thing we all agree on is that you have fearlessly stuck up for many of us, even when some of us didn't know. And I find that to be about as admirable trait as you can have. I think that you're a stand-up dude. I mean, for anybody that doesn't realize, that's Keg Drago's paintings behind him in the corner. Brian is in this movement, and he supports everybody else that's in this movement. And I highly suggest we continue to support him the way that so many already have. Brian, you're an absolute treasure, bro.
Thank you, Joe. The way I view this, we're all in this journey together, and I want to see us all reach the top of the mountaintop and celebrate up there. And I believe it's going to happen.
Hopefully, I'm going to steal this one. I think you know who I'm going to steal it from. But eventually, we'll all get to have a beer at the parade. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, I have to pull this up since the CIA kicked me off there for a second. So I got to re-pull my outro up this way. All right, I got it. Bri, again, I love you, buddy. We'll talk on back channels. I'll definitely see you on Friday nights when we're both in there. And please, if you have anything that I can share out, continue to send them to me because I will. I think the work that you do is brilliant, and I think that you are a key member in this whole movement. And so I thank you again for coming on. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Joe, and God bless you. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday.
My man. All right, much love. We'll see you next time. Peace. All right, come on, work. Is it not gonna work? My device is having trouble, Brian. What is that crap? Let's try it again. Otherwise, we're just going to say goodbye.